Even praying, like pray and you'll get better. And it's hard for me to tell them not to pray for her, but it's, as a caregiver, I need action. I need you to do something for me or for her. Like, come and visit, but I need more than words. And it's gonna sound brute, but I need you to like, just help me wash dishes or help me just do something, because that's the action we need.
Yeah, because people always, they'll say what they think you want to hear, right? But most people don't understand that when it comes down to certain situations like that, it's about providing acts of service in a sense of where can you do something for me physically, you know what I mean? And then, because people come from have good intentions, but, you know, especially you have the Christian who's like, God is gonna make you, come on, man. You know, so that's when they get from the intellectual to the spiritual side, you have to be able to blend and be like, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not gonna happen. Say all the Hail Marys you want. Yeah. It's not gonna happen. But what will happen is that you can pray for someone's mental capacity. Right. Pray for understanding of knowing, a discernment that's saying that, hey, I know what's going on with me and I'm gonna work from where I'm at.
And that's coming from a believer, right?
Yeah. Because of course, 100%. You know, when I'm able to add the spirituality component of it when I'm talking to my patient, it makes things a lot better for me, because that's how I practice medicine. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I'm not ashamed of it. And you got to be careful, because some people don't want to hear that. But most of them I always find that people will say, I don't believe in God until a crisis happens. Right. When a crisis happens, and they put you under, and they're like, you might not wake up. They're all, Lord Jesus, please help me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's okay too. But I always start explaining to patients, why not form a relationship before you get there? Yeah. So you're at peace of whatever comes out, knowing that it's out of your hands. Yeah. You know what I mean? I
remember doing all sorts of deals with both God and the devil after the accident in hospital bed. I was like, I'll do this. Just turn back time for me. And obviously it doesn't happen, but yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, because you're I think you mentioned that in your book. So we all, there's things where you wish you can get a do-over, right? Yeah. But the harsh reality of life is there is no do-overs. And like I explained to my children, like the decisions you make, they're going to follow you. So at the end of the day, like, don't think about do-overs. Just think about executing at the highest level that you possibly can when you have the opportunity to, no matter what the outcome is. Because then you're like, you don't have to fall back, oh man, I regret that. No, I did my best. You know what I mean? So it's, it just comes down to that. And that's a maturity thing as well too, right? Life experience, all of those things play a huge factor in that, because if you haven't been in a situation such as this, you're going to be like, I don't know what to do.
I'm just going to recap shortly for those of you who don't know my story. So I was in the prime of my life. I was the top fitness photographer in America. I had met the woman of my life, Kat, and she was an Air Force major. She was in our Greens. She was a triathlete. She competed in fitness, so she was the whole package. She had the body, the brains, the smarts. She was everything. She was just way above my league, but somehow I had managed to grab her attention, and we were together. We were a couple. We got married. We had a wonderful year. We were going down to our friends in Laguna Beach. I had a Range Rover, of course. Had a Rolex watch. Everything was suave. She was next to me. We were cruising along, Christmas tunes on, and bang. I'm not sure what happened, but what we think what happened is that the tire blew. It was about the times when a lot of faulty tires were on the road, but I still don't know if that was what happened, but I think that's what happened. We rolled and rolled and rolled. I hit my head in the windshield, and I think that's where I broke my neck. We landed upside down on Kat's side. She took the heaviest impact. And from there on, it's a long story, but she broke her neck quite instantly. Me too, but I managed to keep it together until ambulance came and we were rolled into the ICU or the trauma room.
What if God answered your prayers, only to give you the ultimate test?
All right.
Feliz Navidad.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
You know this one?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's go.
Feliz Navidad.
You do? Okay. Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. Okay, this is your part.
Okay, what?
Right here.
I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. That's right.
One moment, they had everything.
Oh, 1 year, baby.
Amelia, I love you, Kat.
I love you too.
It only took a second to lose it all.
Kat.
In their darkest hour,
I'm Dr. Farron. I'm taking care of your wife, Kat.
Is Kat okay?
Kat has a broken neck. She's paralyzed.
Was that when we first met in the trauma, or was that after?
We met after. I met Kat in the trauma bay, and I met you afterwards when doing my rounds.
My impression of you was mixed. Like, I know you wanted to help, but you were also tough towards me.
It was just looking at a situation and kind of like feeling compelled to just be completely honest, but incrementally completely honest, if you know what I mean by that. I just felt compelled to not be hard, but encourage you, saying, hey, this is what's going on moving forward. And then on top of that too, at that time, my role was, you know, in that setting was I was the one who saw the patients in the morning, came in, and then I'm an energetic person. I'm happy-go-lucky, like, hey, what's going on? Like, I'm kind of a bootstraps like guy, like, hey man, what are we doing? Like, you know, like, because I grew up a certain type of way, so there was no room really for me to. It wasn't the time to come in and give you a hug and be like, hey man, nice to meet you. Sorry for what happened. It was kind of like, hey, I just met you, but this is what's happening right now in real time, and it's not going to change. So I can be honest with you, and then you gave me the platform as well too, right? Because it's the energy of the patient. So, you know, if a patient allows me to be me really and you know, my trueness to myself and who I am, then I can really be effective.
Right.
I would like to think, you know, because I'm like, hey, like, and then by you doing that, it helped me, it made me feel more closer to you as well too. So then we could really, like, you know, as men, like, hey, like, this is what's happening, and like, this is what you need to do. If you don't take care of her, I'll hunt you down.
Hey, good morning, baby. I'm out walking. It's morning. I didn't sleep good either. I'm out walking. That's all I'm allowed to do. I'll be in the hospital soon, like 10. I love you. Love you. Mwah. What's up, baby?
I like the fresh air.
I don't know if you remember, but we didn't put this halo on until like later on, because you were walking around with fractures where you're walking around with the base of your skull was fractures. The condyles on the base of your skull, both of them were broken, where they sit into, you know, the top of the vertebral body, you know, and like you're like, hey, we need to put the halo on him. Like, dude's like almost borderline like internal decapitation, kind of like, you know, the ligaments, you know. But I can't say that I'm like this with all my patients, but with certain patients, you kind of grow a liking to an affinity for it, because then you feel like, hey, like you're actually really making a change in their life afterwards. You know what I mean? By saying, hey, I care. And that sometimes goes a lot further than you like to think. Like, you know, like, hey, man, I care about you though. And I have I don't want nothing from you.
I remember a little deeper in our relationship, where I've been at the hospital for 2 weeks or so. I was after the halo. You saw me in the hallway, and you said, "Hey, Pavel," with that deep, dark voice. He's like, "Hey," and I'm looking over, like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Come here," and you were like that. Yeah, you were. And he was like, "You had a white envelope," and you said, "Yeah," and you said, "Me and my wife, we've been talking, and I've been saving up for a watch, but we want you to have this." And inside there was $1,000. And you said, you know you will need it. And at that point, I didn't know that I would need it, but I came to find out that I would need it. But at that moment, I'm getting goosebumps now, but it was just so crazy unselfish. And it was just so heartfelt. And that money meant everything, because it kind of set me on the path to understanding what I would need, you know. It was, so I hope you don't do that with everyone, because that's a lot of money out of your pocket, sir.
No, see, that's another thing as well too, right? I'm a firm believer that, like, God will tell you to do something. There's a lot of times you'll get a request from God, and like you don't want to do it, right? Because you're like, no, man, I've been saving, bro. Like, no, I want this, you know. But at the end of the day, I feel like when you obey, bigger things happen, right?
I have a question. In what moment in your life did you realize you wanted to care for people and like work in the medical?
When my uncle Ted had to move in with us because he could no longer take care of himself, and he had to his bed was in our living room, and we lived in the Section 8 homes in Hammond, Indiana. That's where I'm from the Midwest, and it's pretty, you know, it's like the projects, right? So you wake up in the morning, you know, he might have pooped on himself. We had to bring out the chucks, set it down, and he's a grown man. You know what I mean? Wipe him down. And he's a very, and he was a military guy, and he's black belt in karate. Like, he was a man to man. So at that point, you know, you're having to take care of someone who had an identity, right? Right? And who was like someone where, like, when he walked out, he had a presence, right? Like, Kat had a presence, right? And then, like, her role in the military, like, hey, like, I'm somebody. So for those people, when things like that happen to them, it's devastating, because they were like, yeah, I'm that guy. Oh, I'm that woman, you know? So that's how, you know, why I did what I did, going back to it. But to answer your question, while I was taking care of my uncle, and I was like, I want to help. And then on top of that, too, to be completely honest with you, I never saw a lot of people of color in medicine growing up. And now, you know, fast forward, we know just statistically that people who are the same ethnic group tend to do better when they have people who look like them taking care of them, because there's you share, like, hey, like, you know, oh, you're going to be really forthcoming. And then with African Americans, with the history of America and the experiments and all those different things, there's a lot of distrust. So when I walk in the door, they're like, what's up, brother? Or you got the grandma who's like, oh my God, baby, you look like my nephew. Oh Lord Jesus, thank you. You know? And they're like, oh, and so they're like, because they feel like, hey, like, oh, that's my people. You know what I mean? Because let's be practical. There is a lot of healthcare disparity. Because a lot of people don't want to suffer, right? No one wants to suffer. But sometimes you have to find like meaning in the suffering, right? Because everyone's suffering to some degree, right? But you still have to keep moving on, right? So it's challenging, you know?
Wow. Wow. I think, finding meaning in the suffering is something I've done very well lately. And it's sort of embraced it. Even when it comes to either if it's weights, or if it's taking care of Kat, or if it's doing this, or doing a feature film where we both are like out on a limb doing stuff we haven't done before. Like,
again, right? The uncertainty of how this is going to turn out, right? But you still get up in the morning with the same intentions as you did the day before. Like, hey, I'm going to try to execute and get something done. And you ride the wave of but that's the cool thing. But then that parallels with faith, right? So that's how I kind of, when I'm dealing with my patients, like, I'm like, hey, like, you call it one thing, I call it something else. Right. And then on my side, I have something to lean back on, because I'm like, hey, it's up to you. It's God's hands. You know what I mean?
I'm not a believer per se, but I do.
I know.
I do parallel. I parallel it with.
We're gonna get you there.
Well, I call it love, though. Lately, I think I've replaced the word like God or the divine with love. I just feel like love is the greatest power on earth. I mean, I really do, and it's not in a sissy way, just like in a real manly.
Again, at the end of the day, I'm reading this book right now called The Way of the Superior Man, right?
Okay.
And so at the end of the day, it talks about the males have a feminine side as well, too. And so it's okay to tap into that, because trying to be tough and strong and hard all the time, that's what leads to depression, anxiety, right? Because you have to be a soft side, right? It's that, I think that's what makes you even a more desirable man, because you can, like, hey, like, I can inflict a lot of damage on you, but then I choose to restrain and be loving. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's huge. That's what most women will be like. I want him. I want. Oh my God, yeah, girl, he'll protect you. He like the Tasmanian devil. He'll take everybody out of here, but then he'll lay his head on my lap and be like, baby, I had a bad day. the vulnerable part is important, man, because all that other stuff, it's not real, man.
This is going to be in a special section in the podcast. But forgive me, Kat, but I've never had as many women approach me as if after the accident, because they see I take care of Kat. This and I have not acted on it, obviously. And
Yes, because they see the humanity in you, and then they see it on the flip side, like, hey, man, this is a man who was married to a very, very attractive woman, and she got injured, and he didn't leave her.
right.
So he didn't marry her just for her looks, right? Because I always tell people, like, me and my wife just celebrated our 14th year anniversary on Wednesday, and we've been together for 20 years, right? And my wife's attractive. I don't know if you ever seen yeah. My wife's.
Yeah.
And people will say, "How did you get her?" And I'm like, "Don't insult me." I'm like, I'm not chopped liver, but I see what they're saying. But at the end of the day, like, you don't marry all people. All they do is, like, because we're looking for the handsome person or the pretty person. But those looks fade, man.
Yeah.
Looks fade. You stay away from them, by the way. Stay away from those women. The uphill climb of life, right? There's trials and tribulations are gonna come. Like, again, Bible verses, like, the rain falls on the unjust and the just alike, right? So at the end of the day, like, things are gonna happen to all of us, right? It's what you extract out of it, right? So this happened to you and it made you a better man. Would you necessarily want it done that way? Not necessarily, but again, it's out of your control. Right. So on the way over here, I almost crashed. On the way over here, right? And someone got in my lane, and, like, I just felt it, you know what I mean? The car was like this close to me, and I kind of swerved in, and my truck is heavy, 7,000 pounds. So I swerved a little bit too much, and it got a little squirrely on me, right? And I was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? But again, I had to dial it right back in. I'm like, hey, things happen. It didn't happen. You keep it moving. And you got to keep your faith. Like, at the end of the day, like, I can't control everything. I can't control who was driving. And so it's just one of those situations where, like, if something's going to happen, you can try to avoid it at all costs, but you can't control everything.
It's been my thing lately to more and more just be here, present, meditate, be here right now. Like, not look at my watch.
Yeah.
And
Actively present in the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever I do, if it's talking to you or just eating my sandwich or just really try to be here now.
You got a lot of allergies. No. Can I? This dude he allergic to everything. I don't even know what he eats. I read his thing. I was like, he lying. He cannot be allergic to all of this. I was like, no. It's a choice for me to be here, and then knowing what your purpose is and what's in the season in life, right? Because there's certain seasons in life where your purpose is this, and then this season rolls around, and the roles have changed, right? So you're wearing a different hat. And also, me and my wife always talk about doing things for your partner intentionally and with love, right? Because at the end of the day, like, the tables could have easily been turned. It could be the other way around. And so you have to ask yourself, how would I want to be treated, right? And that's where sometimes you kind of could get locked back in and be like, all right, cool. Because I have my days where I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? And then it's about doing the hard, right? Sometimes doing the hard is more so of like, do it, not like, I want to do it with a joyful spirit, but like, doing the hard and knowing that that's what life is about.
You're in my mind, because that's when it turned for me. And this was years in, honestly, Murph. It was when Kat told me, what if this was you? What if, and like, we've had plenty of frank discussions, right? And of course. But yeah. But she was literally like, what if this was you? And then it turned like that. Like it was instantly, it's just like, what if this was, that's it, no worries.
Yeah.
I'll be there for you.
You're an active guy. You can't walk around anymore. You can't do your deal. Not even just say, can't even use your arms. That's challenging, So you always have to try to put myself in other people's shoes. From a humble space, I'm good at taking care of people. I find joy in it.
Right.
That's one thing, right? So there's different things that we find joy in. Like, some people are like, I just like jogging in the air and I'm so happy. I find joy in, like, someone being like, hey man, thank you. Yeah. And you can see it genuinely, right? I like to talk to people. I like people too. So it's one of those situations where I feel like God is like, hey, I'm going to bring you into this world, and I'm going to make you a certain way, uniquely made, and I'm going to give you an assignment.
Wow.
It's always get choked up when I hear that the assignment, right? Because sometimes the assignment is not an assignment you want to take. It's kind of like Mission Impossible. Like, you get that, like, if you so choose to take this assignment, you take it and it blows up, right? But this assignment is a life assignment, right? And God might say, hey, I want you to do this because I equipped you with these certain qualities, and I want you to go out in the world and help my people. Anything can happen, you know what I mean? Because the same person you met is not the same person you're with today.
Right.
I try to explain that, to my wife. I'm like, I'm not the same dude who was chasing you like crazy.
Right.
Like, I have a career now. Like, like we've been in this for 20. Yeah, they're changed now. So I'm like, I have a different hat on, but I still love you. You know what I mean? And like, and then you also, you get to the point to where like, instead of just being a person of words, you have to also show that with action.
One thing after the accident, I've been super careful or like very meticulous with always showing love. Always. Like in the evening, never go to bed angry.
You.
In the morning, yeah, right.
She can't do this. Right. So you're even more so, you have to really you have to initiate the touching because she's still a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though she can't feel it, it's all up here, right? And I'm learning as I get older, with women, it's all a mental thing with them, right? Like, you can tell them you love them, but if you don't actually show it, they're like, you don't love me, you're just saying that, you know what I mean? But when she sees it, hey, you got up, 2 hours earlier to make her some breakfast on this day, or you did these things, and she knows who you are, and that's not how you are, then that's when the cup starts to fill up even more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we always talk about filling each other's cup, right? So at the end of the day, when the cup is full, everybody's no one's parched.
Right. Well, that was one thing it took me a long time to learn when it comes to paralysis, and maybe you can relate with your family, is that when I do stuff for Kat, I don't do it the way I want to do it. I do it the way she would do it. So I'm literally her hands or feet. Like if I would move the pen this way, she would move it this way, I move it the way Kat would do it.
As you should.
Yeah. But for me, it was a mental block. And I even got upset.
Well, you're a man.
Yeah, right.
We're kind of retarded. I don't care if you got 2 PhDs and, a master's and whatever. Right. We're slow. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like women they're smarter in that sense, You know what I mean? Some people will argue with me about that, but I believe they are, because at the end of the day, that's why God made them to have the children, right? So at the end of the day, the women, they're smarter and they're more intuitive about certain things. Men are more like, Brad, let's go, let's do this. I tell my son more so than anything. I say, son, find a woman who wants you. Don't always chase the one you want, because you will be chasing and always trying to please her because she's the one you were chasing. Yeah. Get the one who wants you just as much as you want her. Because otherwise, bro, you're gonna have some nights where you cry your eyes out, because they'll break your heart, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, wow, it's a different subject, but
sorry, man, but it went off.
It ties into it, though.
It ties into everything, because then now you know what you have at home, right? After this tragedy, right? And she's still the same woman who was. Dang, she bad. Yeah. She's still bad. Yeah. She just in different capacity, right? So the upkeep is the same. Yeah. That's why I said all said, right? Yeah. It all makes sense. I'm saying it's still the same upkeep. Yeah. Whether she can't walk, she can't move her arm, still the same. She's still that jewel that you were like, oh, I want to marry her. Still the same.
Word. I think that's probably
real talk.
Real talk.
That's how the brother said. Real talk. You feel me?
I feel you.
And by the way, he paid me that $1,000 back, which I never expected it back. But he showed up to the hospital, or another hospital I was working at, and he was like, I got something for you. And I was thinking maybe like a little maybe something wooden with a carving, and hey, thank you for your help or whatever. But he reached out and gave me an envelope for $1,000, which in the future you should never do that. Never, because it wasn't a loan, it was a gift.
Right.
And so,
but
again, that's some guy stuff, right?
Yeah.
You helped me out when I was down. I'm up now. Let me get that back to you. And I respect you for that. So I see both sides of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And because that's, again, but then it also tells about your character as a man. You're not a taker, right? So a lot, and even though you didn't ask for it, and I gave it to you, but a lot of men are like, oh, no, you sacrifice for me. Like when I get up back on my feet, I got you. And so that says a lot about your character. Because a lot of people, they'll be like, they have amnesia. Right. You know, they won't even speak. They won't even say that in public because they don't want to feel like they don't feel emasculated. Right. Or another man gave me some money to take care of my wife.
Right. So
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Know what you mean?
That pride.
Yeah, you read into it the wrong way. But true growth is to be able to accept something, knowing that it's coming from a good space, and there's nothing on the back end. You know what I mean? That's maturity, man. So you're mature, bro.
Well, we appreciate you, and I think you taught me how to receive, because after you, I fundraised like $140,000. We're doing fundraisers, right? And we had to in the beginning. Yeah. So and honestly, it became easier and easier to receive, because we had to, right? Like, because the option is rob a bank or put Kat in a nursing home. And I early on pledged. One day, Kat got a letter. It was something about, you'll probably end up in a nursing home. It was probably well-intended, but the letter came across very bad for her. And she looked up at me with tears in her eyes, and she said, like, don't ever put me in a nursing home, kill me or whatever, but don't put me in a nursing home. So that just made me like go like berserk fundraising, and then now everything's cool. But yeah.
Again, spark something, right? Yeah. And then you're a man of integrity, so you're like, no, baby, I'll never put you in a nursing home. So then you knew that in order to uphold that promise, you gotta go out and you gotta figure it out.
Yeah, giving $1,000 back was pure respect. Respect for you.
It's all good, man. I totally get it. I see both sides of it. You know what I mean? And it's cool. You know what I mean? And I think also too, even though you say you're not a believer, that's also someone put that on your heart. The inner Pavel, if you want to say the inner Pavel, told you to do that. And I would say, man, God probably was like, hey, it makes you feel better too. You know what I mean?
I'm open to most things. I'm open to most things. For now, I'm going to believe in love, and then we'll see.
That's totally fine.
We'll meet here in 10 years, and we'll see where we're at.
It's all right, man. God willing, for sure, we'll keep chipping away. Keep chipping away. But He's there for you whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready. God, Jesus, like He's always there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what, whenever you want. And now that you've been introduced to it, it's a superpower. Right. It's a superpower, because then you give everything to someone else, and you don't have to feel like it's all on my shoulders. You have a partner, a powerful partner. That's huge. And you're like, whoa, and then you feel it. There'll come a point if you allow yourself, when you feel it, it's a different type of feeling. You walk in purpose. You know what I mean? It's different, man. It's real. I know it's real because of my life.
Right. No.
That's all. And people be like, why do you know He's real? And I'm like, bro, if I told you my life, you'd be like, you shouldn't be here now. And I was a bouncer for 9 years at a nightclub, at one of the most
bad places.
Yeah, where I've seen a crazy stuff, crazy, and I made it. And I went to school during the day and worked at night for 5 years straight, 7 days a week, and did it. So if that can happen for me, and I was diagnosed with dyslexia as a child. I had learning disability, dealt with a lot of stuff, and then to come and get to where I'm at now, and I did well. My God, those straight A's. You know what I mean? From growing up, being held back in the first grade, I was held back. All of those things, I'm like, that's how I know God is real. You know what I mean?
It's funny when I spend a lot of time in Belize, because that's where Kat's from, right? And when I'm in when I'm in the poorest parts of Belize, where there's the land is just filled with water and it's mosquito infested, and the kids play in it, and the houses are like cardboard boxes. That's when you sort of feel closest to something divine, in that environment, because you see how they're
surviving.
They're survivors and believers, and they need hope, and you can feel it. Well, it can, yeah, it's hard to explain, but I do feel the book the most there. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're in when you're dealing with that level of poverty, you have all you got is you got to believe in something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you're like, I don't see anything good happening for me, so I got to believe in something. You know what I mean? So, and you choose to believe in God. So, and God is there. God is here right now. Where two are gathered talking about Him, He's here. So at the end of the day, like God is in Belize in a little shanty shack with the malaria mosquitoes, and He's over here in Hermosa Beach with us. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was just nice. I was like, where am I at? I was like, they gonna let me up out of here? I was like, we got one, Tom.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah. All right. And we'll say cut.
Cut.